about process and procedure sometimes than technology itself, right?
Yep, that's true, actually. So the biggest thing that we're doing for protecting the cloud is, well, we're keeping Tom and Yuri out of it.
And we appreciate that.
Yes, everybody else does. But the big thing is, like you said, it's about process and procedures. The technology is almost to the point of irrelevant. I mean, everybody's doing best practices. We've got all the protective procedures in place, and IDS and IPS, and everybody's got antivirus, and it's all tweaked up right. But the thing that we're doing right now that's making it, that we're doing to go beyond that, is constant monitoring. We've got tools and scripts that are going out into our cloud deployments, and we're constantly monitoring what's happening on those boxes and who's been there and who's doing what and what have they done. Mm-hmm. We've got SIM systems out there, SIEM or SEIM, depending on who you talk to. Security event information systems that are monitoring all of our event logs and any other firewall and router logs that we want to pay attention to, and putting all this together and building a statistical model of what's happening in the environment over time, so that we can see things that are
kind of a baseline.
No, actually, the baseline is self-defining. So what we're actually looking for is differences in the changes as they happen over time. Because we know, for instance, that we have a certain amount of account maintenance going on. People come and go, and so on. So you disable accounts and wait and see how they've been used after somebody leaves. Because you have, in some environments, people will actually just delete accounts immediately. And the problem with doing that is if somebody tries to get in, that's an entirely different refusal mechanism in Windows than an account that actually exists but has been disabled. So it gives you the ability to watch and see if somebody's trying to make their way back in after they've gone. Mm-hmm. Right. And we have to be able to report on this for FSMA and SAS-70. That these are things that we have to be monitoring consistently and constantly. So we gather literally terabytes of information from logs in our own tools every single month that we have to sift through, and of course we write other tools to go through there and produce the statistical model.
Mm-hmm. Now, customers ask us a lot about our forensics ability. Are you using this information to aid in your forensics investigations?
Well, so in general, the term forensics refers to what you do after things happen. So ideally, we never get to use our forensics. And in fact, the classes I went to for SANS and HB Gary at the beginning of the year, I haven't been able to use these things at all because we haven't found anything we've had to do that investigation. Yeah, right. We have had investigations. We've had people call and say that we think we've got this happening in this environment and that happening in another one. One customer called and said, we think you have a config infected host. Mm. And the temptation is to go in there with all our armament and start digging up and find the guy, look at the virus and see what's going on.
Mm-hmm. But as a troubleshooting guy, you follow the troubleshooting approach first.
Yes, because the odds are good. In fact, we've actually proven this in our own environments. The odds are good it's something broken. It's not something malicious. Mm-hmm. But by the same token, we have to assume that the guys who are trying to do us harm are already in the environment. This is the assumption we make. Mm-hmm. There's a concept called advanced persistent threat. And this is somebody who's in your environment, but they don't want to be known. They want to be in there getting information over long periods of time. They want to find out who you are and find out how you work and pass this information on to others, sell it. So if they can get in the environment and not be detected, then they can do their work. They're not going to go in there now. They're not going to blue screen your box. They're not going to start doing horrible things and tearing up your networks. They can't make any money that way, so they don't want to be detected.
So this is just kind of reconnoitering.
Yep. Well, no, they've gone beyond reconnoitering after a certain period of time. They're actually in there and they're gathering the information they've found, and they're selling this off to people and so on. This is why the recent Sony hack, those guys were in there for a while before anybody found them. They didn't just suddenly get in there and suddenly start doing things. In fact, most of the long-term, really big attacks that have happened recently, those are people who've been there for a fair amount of time. Okay. And this is the problem. You have to watch for these people. You have to start getting a sense of how the environment behaves and start looking for the little anomalies over time.
Changing the subject a little bit, a lot of our experts within Microsoft, when they talk about the cloud, say there's no perimeter, that the cloud is a perimeterless environment and firewalls are not used or not an issue. Do we use firewalls?
We do. We do use firewalls. The problem right now is that we have reached very much the limit of even the really big powerhouse firewalls right now. So our rule set has to be very thin. You know, we're watching less about the application level than we are about behavioral monitoring. So people who are, we actually have devices that can determine whether we're being hit with a distributed denial of service and help us minimize that. As far as getting deep into the application layer, trying to push all of our stuff through a single edge is almost a non-go.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, the old clock on the wall says we're running out of time here.
Yeah.
Any last question? We've got about a minute left.
No, I just want to thank Jen for being here with us today.
Come to Texas just for the interview.
Thanks, Jen.